Now that the ANC's got the Ekurhuleni mayorship again, or at least they were able to oust the former mayor, who will they be fielding? Tania Campbell was ousted when 100 councillors voted in favour of her removal, while 93 voted to keep her in her position. Campbell was voted in after the 2021 local government elections, the first time Ekurhuleni had been governed by a party other than the African National Congress. Let's speak now to ANC Gauteng spokesperson Lesego Makhubela. Lesego, good morning and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much for having me.
Firstly, your reaction to yesterday's outcome?
Well, I think we have actually saved the people of Ekurhuleni, of this country and the continent, from the desecration of the graveside of O.R. Tambo. Because this morning, Tania Campbell was supposed to have gone and spoken at an event in Ekurhuleni to remember O.R. Tambo, one of the greatest sons of our revolutionary movement and our founding father of our democracy. So we saved our people, national liberation movements across Africa and the world from that desecration of his grave by Tania Campbell and his party.
But surely she would have given a good, legacy or spoken of him highly, one would assume, because he is a struggle hero and a hero to many. But beyond that, perhaps not to get into that, we understand that today the ANC will be meeting with smaller parties in Ekurhuleni to discuss a way forward in an attempt to form a minority government? Of
course, yes. The discussions with other parties continue. We continue to ensure that we are going to place in Ekurhuleni and other municipalities in Gauteng a multi-party government that is going to be stable, that will restore order, that will restore financial prudence to the finances of these cities in Gauteng, and ensure that the stability and that we activate service delivery in all the cities. That is the objective of all the parties that have come together, some of them which were part of the coalition government of the DA.
Mm-hmm. There's this conundrum now of the EFF. What will be the approach there? Because they opted to abstain, but many say it would be unwise to just leave things as they are. There needs to be some sort of an engagement with them if the option or the desire is for some sort of stability with your government if you are voted in.
I don't speak on their behalf. I believe they'll send their representatives to represent their views. We speak with all parties. Our attitude towards any party is the attitude of those parties towards service delivery, towards ensuring that our people, especially in historically black townships, receive services, towards ensuring that these municipalities don't collapse like the DA managed to collapse Tshwane, towards ensuring that we're able to attract investment, that we're able to have a situation where we're able to produce jobs. So we speak to everybody, the EFF, everyone included who are represented in those councils.
But so you will be speaking to the EFF?
We've already been speaking to them from Johannesburg to now Ekurhuleni and other municipalities that are about to follow. We speak with them.
But their decision to abstain indicates that they're in the middle or they're indifferent about what happens right now. They're not particularly maybe pleased with the DA for whatever reason and the ANC for whatever reason. So what becomes the approach? Because as far as we know, their demands are demands that would ordinarily be negotiated at a national level, not regional, not provincial, but national, because they're talking of nationalization. So what would be the approach here if the demands are on a national level in most instances?
Well, abstaining is a vote of confidence. In 2021, when the government was formed, a multi-party coalition government was formed in Ekurhuleni, Johannesburg and Tshwane, the EFF voted with the DA. The EFF did not vote in Johannesburg. The EFF did not vote in Ekurhuleni yesterday. So in political science, abstaining is a vote.
But how so? Because in this instance, though, they're saying they're not particularly confident in the African National Congress insofar as that sponsored motion. They opted to stay out of it. So it's not necessarily a vote of confidence for the ANC if you are to form the minority government.
In the number of votes that you are counting, that ousted mayor, former mayor Tania Campbell, you are not counting their votes because they did not vote against and they did not vote for. And that's why those who are students of the Italian Marxist-Leninist Antonio Gramsci, he speaks about the indifferent. And therefore, if you stand and not vote. It's a vote in politics. Not
But you would
voting
need their
is a vote.
support going forward, because otherwise there would be instability. Yes, we can be philosophical, but practically on the ground, you do not believe you need to have some sort of engagement, and knowing that they have demands on a national level, what becomes of such an engagement?
Of course, we need their support to restore a multi-party democracy, to install a mayor, and that's why we're having a discussion. So that discussion will speak about forming a multi-party coalition government in Ekurhuleni. That discussion will speak about forming a multi-party coalition government in everywhere in the cities of Gauteng. And that's what our discussion is about, with every party, not just the EFF. All these parties that are represented, with the exception of a few who are in some of the councils, are national organizations. All these other organizations which are there in Ekurhuleni, Johannesburg, these are national organizations that have demands that actually are national in nature and can be resolved, some of them either by the national leadership. But we are speaking about governing in Ekurhuleni, we're speaking about governing in Tshwane, governing in Johannesburg and other cities. That's where we're confining our discussions with all of them. Of course, we're even speaking to parties like Action SA, but we know ultimately Action SA has become sort of an overflow facility for black former leaders of the DA. But we're speaking with them nonetheless. And that's where we are, because what concerns us as the ANC in Gauteng is to ensure that there is stability in all the municipalities, so that the provincial government is able to implement its plans. In terms of how we have structured our economic revitalization plans, you need stability in all these cities, in all these 5 corridors of Gauteng. If you've got the local government working properly, we are then able to implement our plans optimally and ensure that our people are prioritized and receive services.
We've heard many saying there'll be much political maturity needed from parties if they are to have functional coalitions. What are you taking into these negotiations? Is it a degree of humility, having been on opposition for quite a long time? What are you taking into these negotiations with these smaller parties?
We led the coalition government in Ekurhuleni for 5 years, just now. We did not win an outright majority to form government in Ekurhuleni. For 5 years, there was stability, one mayor, there was one executive council, same officials up until the end of the term. That actually administration was lauded as one of the best at the time, locally ran municipality in the country, and it was a multi-party government that we formed. So wherever the ANC governs, there is stability. Less than a year, all the coalition agreements of the DA have collapsed everywhere. They've literally collapsed everywhere. It's less than a year. We just went to local government elections.
The political climate is different. You like to call it the material conditions have changed. There are new entrants. You've got the likes of Action SA. They've got strong views. So going into a coalition with these new parties might be completely different to what you had back then.
The political environment has always been the same. There's always been, South Africa's democracy is founded on multi-party parties contesting for elections, and there's always been multi-parties either in councils, whether in the province, whether it's in the national government. So it's always literally been the same. But the issue is that how do you hold all these parties together? How are you able to lead a stable government? And hence I just cited the multi-party coalition government in Ekurhuleni. We led the multi-party coalition government in Johannesburg. Even after we had 2 mayors who passed away, unfortunately, those who agreed with us in forming government continuously voted for us to replace those mayors who would have passed away. Because we were able to hold the coalition agreements and the coalition government together. There was stability in all those particular cities. But where the DA governs, there's chaos. You see the emergence of bodybuilders. You see things that are wrong being done.
We seem to have breaking news.